We're looking at what I have called the moral virtues. And today we've reached the concept of justice. And written up there you can see that the concept of justice might be understood as being acting with fairness towards other people. Being fair to others. By honouring our rights and our responsibilities and their rights and their responsibilities. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you this morning about the concept of justice. And I wonder what that means to you. This is quite a helpful little definition of what justice might be. Pursuing what is right and eliminating what is wrong. And I'm fairly confident that most of us sitting in this room would have a very clear idea of what is right and what is wrong. We will have had that drummed into us by our parents, and those messages will have been reinforced by your experiences in school, and more broadly, those messages will have been reinforced through society. We do, of course, have laws and rules that govern the way we behave towards one another in any context. So maybe that's a helpful working definition. Pursuing what is right and eliminating what is wrong. Let's explore that a little further. Because there are four types of justice that we might want to talk about. Justice as equality, right at the top there, which basically is a way of thinking about the concept that actually everybody should get the same amount of stuff, whatever stuff might be. It might be money, it might be property, it might be talent, it might be good looks, it might be ability, but everybody should get the same, because that's fair. That does, on the face of it, appear to make sense. But of course, what I need of stuff might differ to what you need. So that may not be the most successful approach to understanding what justice might be. What about the second one? A needs-based justice. How much do you need to survive? How much do you need to get through every day? Perhaps that's a better way of thinking about what justice might be. At the bottom of the diagram, it can be merit-based justice. In other words, you get more if you work harder. Perhaps that's attractive to some of you. Those who work harder, put more effort in, end up with more stuff. That's right, isn't it? That's justice. Those who just sit around doing nothing and hope that good things will come to them, they're not going to get as much stuff as the rest of us. Perhaps some of you think that's a good definition of justice. Good things will come to those who help themselves. But probably the most common conception that we all of us have of justice is what you will have said, and no doubt I did as well, countless times during your lives thus far, which is, that's not fair. It's about fairness. That's not fair. Why did he get that mark for that piece of work when I've done exactly the same? That's not fair. Why did she get picked for the hockey team when I didn't get picked, when I'm just as good as she is? That's not fair. I've had this from my own children many, many times over the years. There was one point in my middle daughter's life where she was the only child in Hampshire not to own a mobile phone. Because her mean father said that she was too young to have one. And that's not fair. We've all said it, haven't we? So perhaps justice as fairness is something that we think is really, really important. So different ways of thinking about what the word justice might mean. Who's that? Don't be shy. Anybody think they know who that might be? Mr. Wainwright. 2 weeks on the trot, Jack. Very well done. This is Martin Luther King Jr., a very famous civil rights leader in America. And if you know a little bit about American history, you will know that he was assassinated. He was assassinated in April 1968, a very, very long time ago. But he remains an iconic figure in American history. And at the heart of much of what he said was the idea of justice. Justice for black people. Who's this? I'll be so impressed if anybody knows who this is. Does anybody have any idea? Okay, well this lady, her name is Jane Elliott. She's still alive, she's in her 80s now. She's an American teacher. She taught 3rd grade. Not quite sure how that translates to our age groups, but I think it's somewhere in the prep school. A 3rd grade American teacher. The day after Martin Luther King was assassinated, she was pondering, how on earth do I help my young 3rd grade students to understand about the concept of justice? So she came up with a rather interesting social experiment, and it's been repeated hundreds, if not thousands of times since. When her class came in the day after Martin Luther King's assassination, she segregated them. Not by colour of skin, but by eye colour. She has blue eyes. And she said to her class that blue-eyed people are better, more intelligent, more hard-working, more self-disciplined. They have better moral standards, they have better ethical standards than brown-eyed people. Blue-eyed people are better. And she split her class. And just for one day, she gave additional privileges to anybody who was blue-eyed. They were allowed 5 minutes extra at break time. They were allowed to go up for seconds at lunchtime. Brown-eyed people, because they're not as good, were kept back in the classroom while the blue-eyed people went out to play. Brown-eyed people weren't allowed to go and have extra lunch. She also told brown-eyed children they were not allowed to play with blue-eyed children because they weren't good enough. There was a very, very famous documentary made of her experiment with her grade 3 class. She repeated this every year with the children she taught. And she's been doing this ever since. If you're interested and you go and Google Jane Elliott, you'll find that she even did it on an episode of the Oprah Winfrey show a few years ago. And the reaction of the members of the audience who were being told that they were second-class citizens, that they didn't matter as much as people with different coloured eyes, was very telling. They were furious. They were angry. They were upset. And obviously, ultimately, they felt that it was completely unfair. Now, you and I can't choose the colours of our eyes, unless we're going in for these fancy little contact lenses that do that for you. Our eyes are the colour they are. And those of you who study biology will be able to explain to me very clearly why some people have blue eyes and some people have brown eyes. Similarly, we can't choose the amount of melatonin that we have in our skin, because it's that pigment that determines our colour, our skin colour. Jane Elliott's point is, of course, a very, very simple one. It is utterly absurd to think that people are of greater value than other people because of the colour of their eyes or because of the colour of their skin. It is absurd. And yet, it still happens. that there are some people who believe that they are superior to other people because of the colour of their skin. Jane Elliott's probably most famous phrase in response to some of the questions that she's been asked over the years about this experiment is, when it comes to race, there's only one. There is the human race. It's us who split the human race into races. So if justice is about fairness, then I think Jane Elliott has a very powerful lesson to teach us all about how we relate to each other and how we acknowledge and accept the obvious physical differences that exist between us. Yes, there are differences. Does that mean that any one group of us can claim to be superior? I'm going to ask Ken and Ellie to come up and read out this week's sports reports.
Rugby, under 13, we have another tough game with Holsworthy at home on Tuesday. There was plenty of positive play once both the teams grasped the idea of going forward with the ball. James ran effectively and Ben Gifford boosted the scrum well. So was the standout player of the day. He was brilliant and keen to learn the new sport for him. I'm sure he will never forget to put the ball down again. Unfortunately, a superb try was disallowed as he did not realize he had to do this to score. A tough lesson that he graciously smiled about. Well done all. Looking forward, there is the seniors game against Sheffield on Wednesday. Which of the internationals will be playing, we wonder. Judo. Once again, many of the school's youngest judoka, joined by members from the community's club, battled it out in the third round of the 2017 League Festival in our sports zone on Friday night. The league competition is designed to help the development of all our inspiring younger team athletes and help them to gain favorable contest experience ahead of moving on to the British Judo Association competition pathways.
Year 3 student Henry Lawrence is currently the highest ranking Kingsley pupil in 5th place overall, with 1 gold medal and 2 silvers. However, classmate Freddie Horrocks defeated Henry for the first time with a hold down to score upon to claim his first league gold medal on Friday and help him climb to the table to 10th place. Elise Helps in Year 3 also won a silver medal after a superb and courageous performance in her category. Jamie Ledger continues her good run of form by winning a bronze medal and retaining her 13th place in the league table. Jack Hughes, Year 3, remains very inspired, showing improvements and lots of potential in his judo as he won his 3rd bronze medal and claims to 18th overall in the league championships. Another determined effort from William Brown helped him to win a bronze medal as he fought in a high weight category for the first time. Ethan Hood from Year 7 remains in 33rd place, while newcomer to the school in January, Sydney Dyer, remains in 34th place. One of the most inspired performances came from Year 1 pupil Willow Bishop, who has only been attending the evening club for 2 weeks and took up the challenge to take part. Her determination and courage earned her a bronze medal and 40 points on the league table. Overall, league leader remains Tristan Walters, who is in Year 7 at Great Torrington School, with 3 gold medals and 380 points. The final round will take place in November, so there is plenty of opportunities for our school's pupils to break into the top 10 positions. If any pupils wish to join the Community Judo Club, you're welcome to join in with our community club on a Thursday evening from 5. for any junior school pupil or 6 p.m. for senior school pupils. Recently, the school received the honour of being named a major hub centre for combat sports by the Youth Sports Trust. This is an incredible and exciting development for judo at Kingsley School and will certainly benefit our pupils in the future.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ellie. Staff members, any quick announcements, please, this morning?